welcome if you're new. I am back with a new crochet tutorial. Today we are going to make this cozy sweater oversized. It's perfect for cooler weathers, it layers beautifully. For this project I'm going to be using this Turkish blanket. And for the hooks, I'm going to be using two different hooks. One is 5.5 millimeter and one is 4 millimeter. So this is gonna be the first half of the front pattern, and we are going to work like this. This is going to be our first row. Our rows are going to be up and down like this. So for the first 8 rows, we're going to be increasing, and after that it's just going to stay the same, because this is where the neck is going to be, like this. So we're gonna start by making this first row first. So I'm gonna start by crocheting 70 chain by my 5 millimeter hooks. This is for a size medium to large. So I'm gonna start by making my first row 74 chain by my 5.5 millimeter hook. .74 chain. So now we are going to double crochet into the fourth chain from our hook, so that will be 1 2 3 and here's the 4. And these first chains here are not going to be counted as a double crochet. So I'm gonna double crochet into each one of these stitches, and in total it's going to be 71 double crochet. I hope that makes sense. So I am at the end of my row, and the next row is where we are going to start to increase. So I'm just gonna turn my work, chain 3, 1 2 3, and remember this does not count as a double crochet. And now we are going to double crochet into that stitch here twice. So 1 and 1 more time. Just trying to focus, because this is how we are going to increase. And from here I'm just going to double crochet into each stitch till I get into the end. And now here is the very last stitch in that row. So like I said, in this pattern, as we don't count these 3 chains as a double crochet, this is going to be the end stitch, the last stitch of the row. So to start the next row, since we are not going to increase here, so we are going to turn our work, chain 3, and make a double crochet into that first stitch. And we are going to double crochet into each of these stitches until we get to the end of the row. We're gonna just double crochet into each stitch. So I'm coming up to my last stitch of that third row. Just to recap, the first row we did 71 double crochet. The second row we increased by 1, and in the third row we are going to increase by 2. So in this very last stitch we are going to double crochet 3 times. Got so 1, 2 and 3. We are going to move into row number 4, so I'm just going to turn my work, chain 3, and we're also going to increase by 2. So in this very first stitch I'm going to double crochet 3 times. So by double crochet 3 times into that very first stitch, I actually increased this row by 2 double crochet from the last row. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way up to the row number 8. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like once I get to row number 8. I just completed row 8 and here is what it looks like, and here is the top, how the top started to look like with me. So to give you guys a little bit of reference, here we just completed the 8 rows, and now we are just going to continue with the same length, no more increasing. So for the rest of the rows we are just going to keep the same amount of double crochet in each row. So for example, in this last row number 8 we did a total of 84 double crochet. So we're gonna keep that amount, 84 of double crochet in each row, until we get to row number 30. So I'm gonna show you guys what it's look like when I get to row 30. I think I'm going to do 30, but we'll see by the end of the rows. So I have just completed my first front pattern and I did 28 rows in total, and this is what it looks like. You can see the increase right here, and the same pattern. This is where the neck is going to be. So like I said, you can see the increase right here, and then all the rest of the rows are the same double amount of double crochet. So this is the 28th row, and now I'm just going to finish this off by creating 2 chains Then I'm just going to cut my yarn like so, and it's already secure. And then just secure the yarn just by pulling it down, and that's it. Now we are going to move on into the second pattern of the front side. So we're gonna do the same exact pattern, except that we are going to do it on the side, and we are going to start with a slip stitch. So let's call this side the inside, this is the outside, this is the top, and this is the bottom. So I'm going to start my first slip stitch right here into this top. This is the very first row that we did. So this is how I do my slip stitch. Just going to hold it. So like I said, I'm gonna put my hook into that first stitch through the slip stitch, and I'm gonna yarn over through my slip stitch through the stitch, just like that. And from there I'm gonna chain 3, and remember this is 3 chains don't count as a double crochet. And so we are going to double crochet into that very first seam stitch. And then we are going to double crochet into each stitch. So this is the same foundation that we did in the very beginning, the same foundation. So that's getting our first row started. And if you guys remember, the first row had 71 double crochet, and we are going to follow the same exact pattern that we did over here, and we are going to replicate it on the other side. So we are just going to increase in the first 8 rows and continue 28 rows, and I'm gonna show you guys what it look like once I'm into it. So here is the completed front pattern. I did crochet all the way 29 rows, just double crochet the same amount, which was 84 double crochet in each row. And here you can see that my yarn and hook are still attached to the front pattern, and we are going to single crochet all the way to the bottom. So I'm just going to flip this over, and this is going to be using the smaller hook. Mine is 4mm hook, you can see here. So here I am at the bottom corner. It's the very last stitch that we did, and we now are just going to do single crochet all the way at the bottom. I'm gonna chain 1 and crochet a single crochet at each stitch, which is going to be difficult to see, but it's kind of forgiven, so it's okay if it's not perfect. You can just kind of eyeball it, because it's going to be a little bit difficult to make it perfect. And we are just going to do single crochet all the way to the bottom. So now I just completed crocheting all the way at the bottom, single crocheting. And now, so to start off your panel, we are going to start by 21 chain. Did a total of 21 chain, but you can do as many as you want. This is roughly 4 and something inches. And now we are going to flip our work so we can work better. So since we flipped it over, the chain is going to be facing down, so we are just simply gonna flip this over so we can work better with the chain facing upwards. From here we are going to count back 2 single crochet, and we're gonna chain into that chain. So 1, 2, and we are going to chain into the single crochet into the second chain, and from there we are going to single crochet into each stitch, so it's going to be 20 single crochet in total. And here is the very last single crochet, number 20 in our chain. Now we need to connect this row to the bottom panel, and we are going to do that by creating 2 slip stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook, do a slip stitch here, and right now next to it I'm going to do my second slip stitch, just like that. So to give you guys a breakdown from that, the first slip stitch is to connect this row to the front pattern, and the second slip stitch is to build some height for the next row. So we are going to turn it around now to do the second row, and we don't have to chain 1 because it already has enough height, from that slip stitch. So now we are going to do slip stitch into the back loop of the chain, and that is what is going to make it heavier and make it the ridge, creating that rib stitch. That's going to create a ribbing effect. So we are going to make a single crochet. We are going to skip the first 2 slip stitches and insert our hook into the back loop of this chain, doing a single crochet. And for you guys who didn't do this before, we're doing this because it's going to create these ridges right here. That's going to make it a little bit heavier, which is very nice and cool for pants and cuffs. So now I am at the last stitch, and I'm just going to count these to make sure that I have 20 stitch. I really recommend, if you are a beginner, just to count them, because it's so easy to mess it up or to forget a stitch or something. So you want to make sure that you have 20 stitches in each row. And from here we are going to chain 1 to start our next row. Flip your work, and now we are going to single crochet into the next stitch in the back loop, and now we are going to do the same amount. So we are going to make 20 single crochet in each row. So now that I have 20 stitch, I highly recommend to count them so you don't miss one. I'm gonna show you one more time how to connect this row to the bottom pattern by doing 2 slip stitches. So we're just going to connect by making 2 slip stitches. We're going to make a slip stitch into that next stitch, and then do one more slip stitch to build your second row, to build your next row. So you're just going to continue doing the same pattern and adding rows to create that ribbed pattern. So now you are just going to continue single crochet, 20 single crochet in each row, adding rows until the end to create that ribbed pattern, to create that ribbed band. And I'll show you what it looks like once I get to the end. So I've just completed my very last row of single crochet. So the last thing that I need to do is that I'm going to slab stitch this, and I'm just going to fasten it off. So here is what the bottom pattern looks like, and yeah, now we are done with the front side. Now we are going to move to the back piece. So for the back is simply one huge rectangular, and we are going to do the same thing just by crocheting right and up the pattern, rows and rows. There is going to be 58 rows in total of double crochet, and we are going to start with 93 chains, just because I want the back to be longer than the front side, but you do what you like. I'm gonna start by crocheting 93 chains. We are going to go back to the 5.5 millimeter hook. Now that you have 93 chains, we are going to count back 4 chains, 1 2 3 4, and we are going to double crochet into that chain. So again, this is the same pattern that we did in the front side at the beginning, and these first 3 chains does not count as a double chain. So I'm just going to continue to double crocheting into each of these chains, and that's going to leave me with 90 chains, and that's going to make the back longer than the front, but you do you. And we are just going to continue doing that for 58 rows, the same amount of double crocheting, and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like once I'm finished. So here is what the back panel looks like once you have completed the rows. I did 59 rows, 58 rows. Alright, now moving on into the sleeves, I'm gonna use my 5.5 millimeter hook, and I'm going to crochet 50 chains. So there is 50 chains here, and we are going to count up 4 chains, and we are going to double crochet into that chain. And again, these first 3 chains don't count as a double crochet. So we are going to double crochet into all of these chains, and in total it's going to be 47 double crochet, and we are going to do 38 rows of 47 double crochet, and I'm gonna complete that and get back to you once I'm finished and show you guys what it looks like once I'm done. Here's what it looks like after I completed 38 rows of 47 double crocheting in each row. So here's we are going to do something that we have done very similar that we did in the front and the back panel. So we are going to single crochet along the bottom, and after that we are going to add the ribbed panel, but it's a little bit different. So this is the panel after I completed my first sleeve. So this is looked like this before I did the panel. So let me show you guys how I did that. So we are going to start here. This is the last stitch that I did in the last row of the sleeve, and we are going to be working on the bottom, and we are going to work with the smaller hook, the 4 millimeter hook. So what we are going to do, similar to the front and the back panel, we are going to start with 1 chain. So here is the big difference. Instead of actually single crochet, 1 single crochet into each stitch, we are going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So what does that look like is that you're gonna insert your hook, grab your yarn over, and to the next stitch insert your hook, grab the yarn over. So now we have 3 loops. So what we're gonna do is that we are going to yarn over again, grab the yarn and pull through 3 of them. So what we did is that we made these 2 stitches just 1 stitch. So we did that because we want to bring all this skinnier, because it's a cuff, and I want it to be a little bit tighter to get the result like this, because I want it to be tighter just like that. But I don't want it to be loose instead of, so it's going to be tight instead of loose. But you don't have to do that, you can do whatever you like, but I really like it tight, so this is what I'm going for. So let me show you that one more time. You are going to insert your hook, grab the yarn, and then insert your hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. We're gonna yarn over, pull through all of them, and we are going to do that all the way through the panel. So here's what it looks like after single crochet along the bottom, 2 single crochet together, and from here we are going to start our ribbed panel. So it's the exact thing that we have been doing, except that I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna start by chaining 15 chain, so that's 14 chain, and from here I'm going to flip it over, turn the chain towards you, and from here I'm going to count 2 chains and start a single crochet into the second chain, and we are going to single crochet into each one of these chains, so that's going to be 13 chains in total. So that's 13 chain, one, and it's going to be the same exact thing that we did before. We're just going to make a slip stitch and second 2 slip stitches, flip your work. We're gonna count 2 stitches to the 2 slip stitches and start single crochet into that one, leaving the 2, no, we're not crocheting into the slip stitches, of course. We are just going to do the same exact pattern, 13 chains all the way, and I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like once I'm finished. Alright, this is what is the completed sleeve looked like with the cuff. You are going to repeat the exact same pattern for the other sleeve, so obviously we need 2 sleeves. Once you complete the second sleeves, now we are going to move to the last thing, which is to close up the sweater. Now we are going to lay out our front and back panel of the sweater, and we are going to connect them together, and then later we're gonna add the sleeves. So you need to make sure that the top of your front panel is laid out exactly with the top of the back panel, and we are going to attach them with single crochet all the way at the top here, and we are going to skip this area and single crochet at these 2. So we are going to start here at the right side, and we are going to slip stitch into each one up to the row number 19, number 19, and I put a marker right here on both sides right after the 19 row. Actually, I did run out of this baby blue color, unfortunately, so I'm going to connect them using white. I have this one, which is the same brand, and I'm going to connect them using white, hoping it's not going to show up, but I highly recommend if you use the same color. But I just ran out of this baby blue color, and right now with 17 and this pandemic thing, I'm just going to use the white to connect them together and hope it's not going to show up. And I will just use the white, hoping it's not going to be noticeable, but you use the same color. But unfortunately I did run out of this, so I'm using my hook, the 4mm one, to and I'm going to place my hook. You can see here, 1 second, you can see there is a double crochet here. I'm gonna just insert my hook into this first opening right here. I really hope that the white is not going to be noticeable. We will see. But let's look at the silver lining here, that it's going to be show more on camera. And now I'm going to yarn over through this loop and through this one, and from there I'm going to place my hook into the next opening. Could be a little tight. I'm gonna insert my hook into the next opening of both front and the back and do a slip stitch, and we are just going to continue slip stitching throughout the panel because that's what is going to connect them. And it could be a little difficult to keep on with the panel, but it's really not that big of a deal if you just missed on the wrong place. Just make sure that just try to keep the rows consistent. So for example, if I'm going to my fourth row on the front panel, I should be going into my fourth row on the back, and so on. So here I have got to the row number 19, to the 19th row, and now I'm just going to fasten it off. I'm going to finish it off. And now we are going to, I'm going to move to the second side, to the left side, and finish it off. And on this side, this is actually going to be my starting point till the end. So once we connected both shoulders, we are going to open it up like so. So here is our front panel, here is our back panel, and we are going to attach the sleeves. Here is the sleeve. I placed a marker between the 19th row and the 20th row, between row number 19 and number 20, and put a marker in here, and I'm going to attach that marker to this here. So here's what it's look like, and I'm going to slip stitch all the way. I'm not going to count every slip stitch, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. It's not that serious, but as long as you have your marker the middle of the sleeve with this seam, you are going to be fine, and everything is just going to look symmetrical. So I'm just going to stretch it, and yeah, I'm just going to slip stitch all the way just like we did before. So once you have slip stitches all across the sleeve, we are going to close up the sleeve with the sweater. We're going to close from the beginning of the sleeve till the end. I actually made a mark right here because this is where I'm going to stop stitching, because I want to have this open seam. But if you don't like it, you can just stitch all the way down. So to start off your slip stitch, I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch on this side, and we're just going to make our first slip stitch. Going to the next stitch, the third one, and so on. So this part is going to be easy because all the stitches are easy to see. So I have finished slip stitching the sleeves, and now I'm going to go down the down till I reach to the marker. Now once you have done closing up both of your sleeves and your side panels, we are going to flip our sweater, and we are going to clean up the neckline by making a single crochet all around. Be using my 4mm hook. So I'm going to the back of the neck, and we are going to I'm going to choose a stitch from the back of the neck, in the middle of the back of the neck. I'm going to do a slip stitch, chain one, and then I'm going to start single crocheting. So I'm just going to single crochet all around the neckline, just so it can appear a little bit more clean and put together. So this is just to clean up the whole neckline. So if you don't know where to put your stitches, you just kind of eyeball it, and we are going to single crochet all around the neckline, back and front, all the way around till the point where we started. So now I am around the neck, back to where we started, and we are just going to For the last stitch, we are just going to enter into the first slip stitch that we have made and just fasten it off. So yeah, right now it looks much better and much cleaner, like that. And now we are just going to clean all these threads. So you guys, that's pretty much it. I actually started with this sweater first in this greenish color thing, and I love it so much that I actually decided to do the tutorial with the baby blue color. And yes, pretty much that's it. It's so cozy and light and beautiful. I actually, in this one, I added these feathers that are made from yarn, which I did a tutorial on. I will link the video. And yeah, you can add a scarf. I actually made a tutorial on how to make this scarf. It's so easy and so cozy and beautiful. And yes, pretty much that's it. So I really like this cuff, and I hope you guys really liked this tutorial, and I would love to hear your feedback. I answer to every comment. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I really encourage you to keep going, and it definitely gets easier as you go, and the more projects that you are doing, it really builds that confidence. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys.